est fortement affecté présentement.
According to SUPFER's website, over 600,000 hectares have been burned to date in Quebec, compared to the 10-year average of 1,319 hectares on the same day. A fire is raging about 20 kilometers away from the Atikamekw community of Opitsawan, 600 kilometers north of Montreal. So they have started evacuating their most vulnerable.
Ces évacuations-là préventives, c'est dû à la fumée qui a été très dense ces derniers jours dans la communauté, parce que déjà là, on a quand même des personnes qui ont quand même des maladies chroniques pulmonaires. Et au niveau des maladies cardiaques aussi, là, on a quand même 450 personnes dans notre liste de vulnérables.
People are advised to stay inside as much as possible, and Opitsawan schools are closed. Even healthy individuals like Jeffrey Papatsi, a powwow dancer and community worker from the Anishnabe community of Lac-Simon, have experienced the effects of the dense smoke.
Moi, j'ai failli vomir ici à la maison parce que je sors souvent pour aller chercher de quoi à l'extérieur, vu que le senteur de boucan aussi, que c'est fort quand même. La qualité d'air est pas vraiment bonne quand même.
His community evacuated safely to nearby Val-d'Or and Picogun this past weekend, along with some vulnerable individuals from Kitsisakik, a neighboring Anishnabe community. But the animals were not so lucky.
C'est triste pour les animaux aussi parce qu'ils ne savent pas y aller. Justement, il y a des gens qui travaillent dans la communauté ici, même du côté Kitsisakik, qui on voit des animaux qui traversent les chemins. Ils ont vu même des ours qui cherchent une place quand même d'être en sécurité aussi, là.
Now, people are returning to Lac-Simon, but Lac-Simon's chief Lucien Wabanonik says the relief is temporary.
Ce qui est important à souligner, c'est que c'est pas fini. Ce n'est pas terminé. Les combats de forêt et les incendies, on a même plusieurs de nos jeunes qui se sont enrôlés pour être formés, pour être pompiers forestiers au cours des dernières heures ou des derniers jours.
In these stressful circumstances, Papetsi says it's more important than ever to look to community for hope.
Je souhaite aux gens de se tenir en alerte et d'être heureux quand même de ce qui se passe, parce que pour faire confiance aussi à la sécurité qui nous donne la communauté.
Emilia Fournier, APTN National News, Montreal.
Well, as you've been seeing, it's been a brutal fire season and still early. So far, the federal government says more than 6,500 First Nations people remain evacuated from their communities, and politicians are pleading for help in their ridings. Our Truth in Politics panel looks a bit different this week. APTN's Danielle Paradis, who's just got back from Fort Chipewyan in northern Alberta, where fires are mere kilometers away from the airport. And joining us, as always, is Carrie Benjo, a journalist and publisher of Eagle Feather News in Saskatchewan. Carrie, Danielle, thanks for being with us, the two of you. Carrie, let's start with you. There have been 206 fires this year so far in Saskatchewan, which is way up from the 5-year average of 138 fires. Indigenous communities in Saskatchewan are being hit hard by these fires and even floods every year. Carrie, why are they disproportionately affected, do you think?
It has a lot to do with infrastructure. You go to any First Nation, a lot of these northern reserves, well, even reserves in my area, don't have fire equipment, fire trucks, firefighters. We don't have the roads to access some of the housing. And so when these sort of situations hit, we don't have the simple infrastructure. We don't have the roadways. We don't have the water. We don't have the training. And a lot of northern reserves are situated in very isolated areas. And so it's even difficult for outside sources to easily access and protect these communities. It's often left up to the communities to try do their own fire prevention. And often what results is they don't have the resources, so they have to flee and just wait to see what they come back to, which is just really sad. And it happens continuously. We go through this almost every year.
Mm-hmm. Danielle, you were up in Fort Chipewyan. What is the situation like on the ground there?
Yeah, it's very similar to what Carrie described. There were some programs for preventative fire that were cut 7 years ago, according to Chief Alan Adam and other residents that we spoke with. However, the difference is that the community, they know that they're isolated and that they are taking steps to make sure that they're sprinklering their structures, that they're not just seeing a situation where they evacuate and wait to see what comes next. It was very important to the community that they stay empowered and that they have some presence on the ground to help make sure that there is some place to go back to.
Yeah, Danielle, what do people there think of the federal response so far?
The federal response is showing up through military. It's really a joint effort with the municipality, with forestry. So there's not like a clear, here's where the federal government comes in, here's where the other people are coming in. But what I'm hearing over and over again is that there needs to be more attention on the preventative aspect, that we need to make sure that people in the community get their certificates for firefighting, but also have the funding to maintain those certificates. A number of people did get that training, but the certificates expired and there wasn't money for ongoing training. So now we're looking at situations where they're getting certified in the middle of wildfire season before they can actually go out and help.
Carrie, fires are burning coast to coast, and now the smoke has been making its way to Toronto, Ottawa, New York City, where the powers that be are. How could this attention and international attention, do you think it could help First Nations on the ground?
I think for the situation to resonate with the greater public, there needs to be more attention paid to the communities. Go out there and tell the stories, because right now it's just fires raging, and there's not enough people. There's not enough people's stories happening, so people aren't connecting. You know, the seriousness of these fires. They just think, okay, well, you know, you need to out your fires, but they don't see the people being affected until we have a face on these fires. You know, these Indigenous communities in the far north, these fires are catastrophic for them. And until the general public actually sees the devastation that it's having on people and human beings, I don't think we're going to see much public pressure to rectify this current situation. They're just going to be saying, okay, well, you guys should out your fires, or you guys should do something, kind of thing. They're not seeing the severity that we see.
Danielle, how are people coping with the evacuations?
It is very emotionally difficult to have to evacuate your home. We spoke with people who were in hotels in Fort McMurray, so they were evacuated out of the flyout community. Some of them had to take a 5-hour boat trip down the through Athabasca Lake into Athabasca River down to Fort McKay. And although they are all very grateful, they're expressing a lot of gratitude to their chiefs, to the communities working together. It's still incredibly hard to feel disconnected, to not know what you're going to go home to. And I am hearing instances of drug overdose. I'm hearing instances of just some social problems that have popped up. And that is also something that we see when evacuations happen. At the same time, there was a crib tournament that we were talking to when we were on the ground, and people trying to keep their spirits up, especially the elders. So there's resiliency, but there's also a lot of pain.
Danielle, Carrie, we'll leave it there. Danielle, thanks for your work up there and for filling in for Degon this week. Carrie, always great to see you. Former Catholic priest was back in court today. More on that story and much more still to come. Welcome back. A former Catholic priest charged with 8 counts of historical sexual assault involving 6 victims made a brief court appearance in Iqaluit today. 76-year-old Eric Dieger was flown to Iqaluit yesterday for a bail hearing. He was previously convicted on 24 counts of sexual assault against Inuit youth related to his time as a priest in Nunavut. Today, his lawyers asked for a publication ban, and the hearing was put over to June 27th. A Senate committee released a new report on suicide prevention in Ottawa. The report finds that in spite of a federal framework on suicide prevention put in place in 2016, rates have remained virtually unchanged. APTN's Fraser Needham reports.
Senator Patrick Brazo helped produce the report, and he knows the issue firsthand.
This is a very personal issue for me, as I've tried to take my life twice. I was hurting, I had given up on everything and everyone around me. But yet, I was fortunate, and I'm fortunate to be here today.
The suicide rate in Canada has remained between 11 and 12 people per 100,000 over the past 20 years. For minority groups such as Indigenous people, that rate can be as much as 25 times higher. Report co-author Senator Ratna Omidvar says suicide prevention programming in Canada has failed.
Since the framework was established, the suicide rate in Canada has not meaningfully changed. There was the slightest of decreases in 2020, which witnesses and experts attributed to pandemic-related supports. But it has otherwise remained stubbornly steady.
Senator Stan Kuchar is another report co-author who is also a trained psychiatrist. He says governments need to focus on what actually works in terms of suicide prevention instead of what might just look good.
From a professional perspective, it was very frustrating to see healthcare systems, whether it be federal, provincial, or territorial, focus attention and investment on things that made people feel good and not on things that actually decreased rates of suicide.
Brazo's struggles with addiction and suicidal thoughts led him to research the issue. He says he found an alarming lack of prevention programming for men.
There are more programs that exist for women than men across Canada. And so this is why in this report, it will be important for the federal government going forward to put a gender-based lens on men when we are talking about suicide, because the facts are there, the facts don't lie. Three out of every 4 suicides are committed by men.
The report was produced by the Senate Committee on Social Affairs, Science and Technology. Fraser Needham, APTN National News, Ottawa.
And if you should find yourself experiencing emotional distress and want to talk, you can call the Hope for Wellness helpline at 1-855-242-3310. New space in Tyendinaga that has been in the works for decades is one step closer to becoming a reality. That story is coming up after the break. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. Not only is Karen Sear a regular viewer and fan of our newscast, but now she's made the show with this great photo of calm waters and reflective plant life. Thanks for that, Karen. You too can be featured on the show by sending in your awesome photos to share@aptn.ca. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, 16 and showers for Fredericton and Charlottetown. 25 with rain in Kuujjuaq, 10 in Nain. 18 and rain in Montreal, smoke, and 22 for Val-d'Or. Sun's out and 19 for Sault Ste. Marie, 21 with rain in North Bay. 23 in Kapuskasing, sunny, and 22 for Thunder Bay. 17 in God's Lake, 20 in Norway House. 26 with showers in Winnipeg, 28 and rain in Dauphin. Showers in 28 for Regina, 27 and sunny in Saskatoon. 23 and sunny for Uranium City and Stony Rapids. In northern Alberta, plenty of sun and 32 for Peace River and Grand Prairie. 30 and sunny in Edmonton, showers and 22 for Lethbridge. 18 with rain in Vancouver, 31 in Kamloops. 29 in Prince George, showers and 25 for Smithers. 19 in Old Crow and Whitehorse, 24 in Mayo. Sunny and 20 in Yellowknife, 27 in Norman Wells. 3 for Sax Harbor, 5 in Pawlatuck. 12 with rain in Chesterfield, 15 for Baker Lake. 0 and snow in Resolute, snow and 2 below for Arctic Bay. A 20-year-old dream will soon become a reality for the Mohawk community of Tyendinaga. The Federal Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations was on hand to kick up dirt. Here's Annette Francis with that story.
After a few speeches, members of the community, along with Minister Mark Miller and Callie Miracle, head to the perfect spot to break ground.
I forgot to put my boots on. Oh, you're doing a good job.
This open space will soon be the home of the Mohawk Language and Cultural Center. The new building will have a teaching kitchen, an art studio, and a gathering space for up to 150 people for language and cultural programs. The federal government has committed $9.6 million to the build.
The government has a green and inclusive infrastructure fund that is available for everyone in Canada, and a number of Indigenous communities have won this competitive bid. So Chitun Heonkowana was one of the top candidates for this, and their project spoke for itself. It's green, so carbon neutral, and has that cultural aspect that puts it over the top. So really a competitive process where there's a lot of demand across the country.
How does it feel today?
Miracle is the executive director of Jijun Head Ongwana. She says there's still some work to do.
We're looking at raising another $2 million to help with, we have enough for the building, I believe. We're good for the building, but all the stuff that goes inside, the furnishings and of course the landscaping, and there's other parts of the grant that aren't covered under the GICB grant.
Amanda Bernhardt is a teacher at the Weegawanaway School. It offers language and cultural programs for children aged 3 to 10. She looks forward to the move to the new center.
It's going to be amazing because if you see our school now, it's just like a 2-room, old building, and it was the day school, and it's, we're trying to bring it alive, but I think a new school is going to be great. We're going to be able to bring in more children. And offer more for the community.
Miracle says it's been a 20-year dream.
It's still so surreal to me to be here. And I've been with the organization since 2003, so just almost 20 years this year. Well, in September, there's the group ahead of me that had this vision as well. So for them to see it, and it's been such a community thing. It's not just me, myself, it's not just Jijun Head Ongwana, but it's been a community endeavor to get to where we are.
The 18-month project is expected to begin in August. Annette Francis, APTN National News, Anishnabe, Mohawk Territory.
Exciting stuff for the community. That's all the time we have for your APTN National News for this Thursday. You can find much more over on our website. That's aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for being with us. Have a great night.